It's a beautifully calm day here at Nurburgring, GP, Formula, OSRW, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Hippie will have the best seat in the house, starting from pole position. Taking the second spot is Jack M Team.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Jack M Team can do from here.
The third place on the grid belongs to Megasaurus 55, a driver with plenty of experience.
Let's see what Megasaurus 55 can do.
In the fourth position, we have Lars ready to tackle the race ahead. Roll Postma is placed in fifth. From the middle of the pack, we have Jerry Yu in sixth place on the starting grid. Robin Overbeck is seventh.
We've not seen the best from Robin Overbeck yet.
The eighth starting position belongs to Racer XTC, who will be looking to make up ground early on.
It's the standards tire compounds for Racer XTC.
On the ninth grid slot, we have Marco Hagen. Our 10th place starter, Mr. Bang, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track.
But don't count them out yet, they've got the skills to pay the bills.
D-Max is in a solid position, starting from 11th on the grid. Puppy Dog from Hell may have a bit of work to do, starting from 12th on the grid. Smells Like Weed will need to be on top of their game, starting from 13th on the grid. Starting from 15th on the grid is a decent position for Chris Ilduke, all things considered. The lights are off, the gloves are on, and it's go time.
Maintaining a safe distance while still pushing for position is a delicate balance. Experience and composure will be vital in these opening moments.
Superb driving from Chris Ilduke, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Yes, Chris Ilduke is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
It's like Roll Postma had a pair of wings tucked away, because they've soared up the leaderboard in the blink of an eye. Lars is going to be cursing under their breath at that start, I'm sure how.
Well, it's not the start they wanted, but let's see if Lars can turn things around before it's too late.
An impressive showing from Lars, who has gained positions and left Megasaurus 55 in the dust. The racing is normally closely fought here at Nurburgring, GP, Formula, OSRW. I think we are in for a cracking race. Excellent work from Marco Hagen, who has managed to increase their lead over Robin Overbeck. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it, but with every smooth turn comes the risk of wrecking their car. Who will be the first to push it too far and crash out of the race?
That's right, Rob. These drivers are like musicians, finding their groove and playing their instruments to perfection. But just like in music, even the best players can hit a wrong note. Let's hope none of these drivers make any mistakes and end up singing the blues.
And Marco Hagen has just lost the place to Robin Overbeck.
Absolutely. They need to rethink their approach and come up with something new, or they risk losing even more ground. On the other hand, Robin Overbeck has been making some impressive moves and looks like a serious contender.
Maybe D-Max hit the snooze button one too many times this morning, already losing places at the start. Tough break for D-Max, who has just lost a position. Did someone forget to tell Maybe Today Satan that the race has begun? They're already losing ground.
I'm sure Maybe Today Satan isn't laughing, but they've given us a bit of comic relief with that slow start. Time to get serious and make up some ground.
Heartbreak for Maybe Today Satan as they slip down the field. It looks like Smells Like Weed was channeling a sloth at the start, losing places as they crawled off the line. It looks like Barkers is pulling away from Smells Like Weed. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Vidal chicane.
It's not ideal for Smells Like Weed, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
And it's not just about skill and talent. It's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time.
It's not looking good for Jack M Team. They are still behind Roll Postma and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Jack M Team needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Royal Postma.
The gap between Jack M Team and Royal Postma is growing. It's now up to 1.3 seconds.
This is where the mental toughness of Jack M Team comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way.
It's a brilliant day for racing here at Nurburgring. GP, Formula, OSRW. I'm really enjoying this.
This race is truly epic. What a treat to be sat here witnessing this spectacle.
Looks like Racer XTC is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. With just 0.4 seconds between them, will Racer XTC be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Things are heating up as Robin Overbeck tries to close the gap to Lars.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Robin Overbeck needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
It's a close race between Lars and Jack M Team in second. A setback for Lars, who has just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating. But Lars is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
It's been a solid race so far for Lars. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result. Lars just needs to stay focused and avoid any mistakes.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Jack M Team is breathing down the neck of Lars, not giving them any room to relax.
With the way Jack M Team is stalking Lars, you'd think they're trying to figure out what they had for breakfast this morning.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. It's a solid performance from Mike O'Hagan at the moment. They're holding their position and not getting too caught up in battles around them.
Consistency is key in racing. Mike O'Hagan just needs to keep doing what they're doing and wait for opportunities to present themselves.
Big gains for Mike O'Hagan as they move up the field, leaving Hippie behind.
Yes, but they have to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Mike O'Hagan needs to stay focused and keep driving with skill and determination.
The intensity is off the charts as Jack M Team hounds Lars, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
This is what separates the good from the great, the ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
Disappointing for Jack M Team, they now find themselves in fifth. The best laid plans of mice and men, ha, but it's certainly not going to plan for Jack M Team right now as they are struggling to keep up with Lars.
They needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Wow, Megasaurus 55 is really pushing hard to catch up to Jack M Team. There's blood in the water for fourth place. It's a thrilling pursuit as Jack M Team is right behind Megasaurus 55, keeping the pressure on for fourth place. Jack M Team is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Megasaurus 55 at the moment. The pressure is really on for Racer XTC in 7th as Mike O'Hagan is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. A great moment for Racer XTC, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. This is what it's all about, folks. Mike O'Hagan is in hot pursuit of Racer XTC, who's just trying to stay ahead.
This battle between Mike O'Hagan and Racer XTC is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
It's looking good for Mike O'Hagan, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Racer XTC. It's a steady race for Wayne Pearson so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus. It's been a solid race so far for Wayne Pearson. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace. There's not much to report on from Smells Like We at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Smells Like We just needs to bide their time and wait for the right opportunity.
A great pass for Smells Like We as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Wayne Pearson has lost ground. Oh, this is getting intense. Mr. Bang is just behind Mac at the back.
If Mr. Bang pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
And Mr. Bang has just won the place from Mac at the back.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
The crowd is on its feet as Megasaurus 55 chases down Lars through Mercedes Arena.
It's going to be a close one. Megasaurus 55 will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
It's a battle of nerves now. Who will make the first mistake? Roel Postma or Robin Overbeck? This is high-stakes racing.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
That's right, Rob. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
An impressive showing from Mike O'Hagan, who has gained positions and left Jack M team in the dust.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Mike O'Hagan needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
As a former racing driver, how challenging was it to adapt your driving style to account for tire degradation throughout a race?
It was a constant challenge, Rob. Tire degradation can change the car's balance and handling, so drivers need to be versatile and adaptable. It requires continuous adjustments to driving techniques and a keen understanding of the car's behavior.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds. Who will come out on top?
The gap between Wayne Pearson and Barkers is widening. It's now up to 1.1 seconds. It's a game of inches now as Chris Ilduke tails Puppy Dog from Hell closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. It's not going to plan for Chris Ilduke. They are still behind Puppy Dog from Hell and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. Chris Ilduke appears to be losing ground on Puppy Dog from Hell. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Ad Van Borgen and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. Big gains for Chris Ilduke as they move up the field, leaving Puppy Dog from Hell behind.
Absolutely, Rob, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and Chris Ilduke can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. It's a steady race for Puppy Dog from Hell so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus.
That's the mark of a good driver. Puppy Dog from Hell is staying focused on their own race and not getting distracted.
The adrenaline is pumping as Mike O'Hagan gets within striking distance of Lars in their race for third.
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Mike O'Hagan gaining places and Lars losing them.
Absolutely. Mike O'Hagan is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
A great pass for Mike O'Hagan as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Lars has lost ground. Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
Ha ha. I don't think that's how it works. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right, but wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for a cup of tea and a chat? We could have a lovely little race reunion.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Megasaurus 55 is chasing Racer XTC in P4. The gap between Megasaurus 55 and Racer XTC is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. The best laid plans of mice and men are hell, but it's certainly not going to plan for Wayne Pearson right now as they are struggling to keep up with Racer XTC.
This is a frustrating situation for Wayne Pearson, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Racer XTC.
Wayne Pearson is trying their best, but can't seem to find a pace to keep up with Racer XTC at the moment. You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely, it's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Puppy Dog from Hell is right on the heels of Chris Ilduke, and we're in for a wild ride.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Puppy Dog from Hell must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
It's looking good for Puppy Dog from Hell, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Chris Ilduke.
Yes, but Puppy Dog from Hell can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
It's been a solid race so far for Wayne Pearson. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result. Wayne Pearson just needs to stay focused and avoid any mistakes.
It's a solid performance from Wayne Pearson at the moment. They're holding their position and not getting too caught up in battles around them. The race is really heating up. Puppy Dog from Hell is hunting down maybe today Satan with everything they've got. The gap between Puppy Dog from Hell and maybe today Satan is getting smaller. It's game on now. Puppy Dog from Hell has closed the gap to maybe today Satan. It's now down to 0.5 seconds.
That's a great effort from Puppy Dog from Hell. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
Look at that, D-Max is hot on the tail of Barkers. It looks like D-Max is making a move. The gap to Barkers is now down to 0.7 seconds.
Exactly what D-Max needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Barkers.
D-Max is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Barkers to 0.5 seconds. This is a thrilling battle as Puppy Dog from Hell edges closer to maybe today Satan in their fight for P15. Good news for Puppy Dog from Hell. The gap to maybe today Satan has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
There's not much to report on from Puppy Dog from Hell at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. The gap between D-Max and Barkers is razor thin as they vie for 12th in this nail-biting contest.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect. But let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
It's not looking good for D-Max. They are still behind Barkers and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. It's a steady race for D-Max so far. They haven't made any mistakes and they are maintaining their focus. No room for error here. Maybe today Satan is breathing down the neck of Chris Ilduke, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. And maybe today Satan has just won the place from Chris Ilduke. An impressive showing from maybe today Satan, who has gained positions and left Chris Ilduke in the dust.
Yes, but they have to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over and anything can happen. Maybe today Satan needs to stay focused and keep driving with skill and determination.
You know, Hal, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Rob. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
The pressure is on for Puppy Dog from Hell as they try to catch up to Chris Ilduke. We got a close battle as D-Max closes in on Barkers.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Who will keep their cool under pressure? D-Max or Barkers? It's anyone's race.
It's an intense battle for position as Chris Ilduke tries to outmaneuver Puppy Dog from Hell. This is edge of your seat racing. It's been a solid race so far for Chris Ilduke. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Chris Ilduke just needs to bide their time and wait for the right opportunity.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. It's a solid performance from Puppy Dog from Hell at the moment. They're holding their position and not getting too caught up in battles around them. It's a steady race for Puppy Dog from Hell so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus. So, Hal, considering the high speeds and split-second decision-making involved in racing, what's the impact of even a minor lapse in concentration?
A minor lapse in concentration can have significant consequences, Rob. It could lead to an off-track excursion, a loss of position, or even a collision. That's why it's crucial for drivers to stay focused and alert throughout the race.
D-Max is on a mission, chasing Barkers, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. The gap between D-Max and Barkers is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds.
D-Max is really going to need to push in Mercedes Arena to try and gain some ground on Barkers before they disappear into the sunset.
This is what racing is all about, two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Mike O'Hagan is definitely living on the edge today.
It's not going to plan for Mike O'Hagan. They are still behind Roll Postma and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Mike O'Hagan. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The gap between Mike O'Hagan and Roll Postma is growing. It's now up to 0.3 seconds. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. The best laid plans of mice and men, ha, but it's certainly not going to plan for D-Max right now as they are struggling to keep up with Barkers. It looks like Barkers is pulling away from D-Max. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Michael Schumacher S. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
If Mike O'Hagan gets any closer, they might as well ask Roll Postma for a piggyback ride.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Mike O'Hagan gaining places and Roll Postma losing them. A great pass for Mike O'Hagan as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Roll Postma has lost ground. The pursuit is on. Roll Postma is closing the gap on Mike O'Hagan, determined to claim P2. Roll Postma is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Mike O'Hagan at the moment.
It's not over yet, but Roll Postma needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Mike O'Hagan.
The gap between Roll Postma and Mike O'Hagan is widening. It's now up to 0.8 seconds.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Racer XTC is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
It looks like we might get a battle between Racer XTC and Roll Postma.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
This is where the race gets really interesting. Maybe today, Satan is closing in on Mac at the back.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
Things are heating up as Racer XTC closes in on Roll Postma. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
On the final lap now, and Robin Overbeck looks like they might just wrap up this win. The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Robin Overbeck. Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Mike O'Hagan certainly doesn't see it that way. They put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of their impressive result. What a race from Racer XTC, showing their skill and determination for a great third place finish. 4th, 5th and 6th sees Roll Postma, Megasaurus 55 and Lars. Jack M Team, Hippie and Simon Barnes end in 7th, 8th and 19th. Jerry Yu in 9th. Finishing 10th is smells underscore like underscore we. In 11th, it's Wayne Pearson. Barkers brings home 12th. Coming in 13th, we have D-Max. Followed by Mr. Bang in 14th. Taking 15th is Chris underscore ill underscore Duke. With Mac at the back in 16th. Puppy Dog from Hell, and maybe today Satan takes 17th and 18th.